Welcome to my channel, where I engage my guests in Life Matters conversations, where they share their passions and creativity, explore with us, grow, tune in, connect, and learn from these trailblazers. This is where we share the real, raw, authentic stories of failures and successes. Enjoy the journey. There we go. Hi, Pao.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. Good. I'm
Yeah,
excited. I'm excited.
wonderful, wonderful. It's really great having you.
Thank you.
Uh, I met Pao on Symposium Synergy,
Mhm.
and you were like the co-host, doing your thing, like back office stuff, answering everybody's questions, the backbone of the whole symposium. But I'd been observing you the whole time, and there were 5 straight days, and you were just sitting there like in a meditative state. I was like, wow, just sitting there 5 days, and I was wondering where you were from, what you were doing, and I have to be honest, anybody with a name as yours, Palafox,
Yes.
now that comes straight out of a Lord of the Rings movie.
Thank
So,
you.
so I had to like interview her. I was like so curious where you come from. And then the most yeah, really cool thing was when you took to the mic and you did a presentation as well. And all of a sudden you started just chatting away and presenting your area of expertise, which I knew nothing of. I had a Pinterest account because one of my friends said, "Oh, you'll find me there," and I got there and I only saw a picture and I had no clue what to do with that one picture. And I clicked on it, but nothing happened. And I was trying to get a hold of this person, and then I just dropped it. I still have my account on Pinterest, and all of a sudden you're telling me all about, or the audience all about your area of expertise, which is helping people attract their ideal audience via Pinterest, right?
Yes.
So you're a marketing strategist, manager, and educator for coaches, service providers, and creators helping business owners build a presence on Pinterest and attract their ideal audience. Really cool.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. So surprise, surprise. It was like, ta-da, here she is. You were just you were just outshining everybody. It was really nice to have you there.
Thank you.
So, so I want to thank you because, I really felt inspired to start having conversations with people, not necessarily interview, but just conversations of people's lives. I'm always so interested in what other people are doing, and since I'm, on these international platforms and meeting all these international people, I'm like, oh, I want to know a little bit more of their life and about some of your challenges that you face and your successes. So tell me a little bit of where you started. How did you end up becoming a Pinterest specialist, for instance?
Well, I always liked Pinterest. I think sometimes the first time that I interacted with Pinterest was when I was a teenager, and me and my friends were planning like a Halloween party, which never took place, by the way. But dreaming costs nothing. So there is this. I don't know if you know DC characters. From the DC Comics universe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So there's this lady, Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
The one with the plan. Okay, yeah, awesome. I love it when I don't have to explain that. So there's this lady, Poison Ivy, and I wanted to dress like her. I was looking for, like the cosplay inspiration, but I didn't know Pinterest. I went on Google first. I went on Google Images. Then I realized that as much as I was seeing Google Images, the very first lines, there were like 3 to 4 images that came from Pinterest, and I was like, "What is that thing?" And you can, visit the site. And then I ended up in Pinterest. And then I ended up taking a look at the cosplays and how to do the hair and the makeup and whatever you can think of. And therefore, there was like a lot of things there. I just got lost on it. Like I found out this new platform and I was lost on it. I started seeing just not the cosplay things, but also the makeup that had nothing to do with with the character, just makeup in general. And then I went on the rabbit hole of home decor and recipes. You know, as I continued to use the platform, I kind of found the rabbit hole of blogging. And that was my original goal, becoming a blogger, like a kind of like a lifestyle blogger or something like that. That was more towards my, like, I was like 19 or so. And then I started seeing that people were using Pinterest to, to promote their blog posts. And the blog posts were sharing some knowledge with you, educating you in some things that maybe you had no idea that were a thing, like in this case, blogging. And yeah, that was the thing. Like I was just looking for it. I was like, maybe one day I'm gonna do that. And then one day I was like 21. I had already moved in with a partner. I had a full-time job. It was a call center. Those people you call when you have a problem. And I was there. It was a full-time job. It was like what was it? 12 to 11 p.m. That was the schedule. And it was okay in the sense that I had a good relationship with my supervisor and my coworkers, let's say. But it was a little, it, it starts to make you feel like you're part of the problem when you're too long in those times, in those types of jobs. Because when I was in the same schedule with my supervisors, we all had different schedules. So he will just let me do my thing and send the tech guy, and that's it. Like problem fixed, problem solved. But when you were in different times, like for example, my supervisor will be in the mornings and she will leave at some time in the afternoon, and I was still in the afternoon. And at night, I was kind of under other supervisors. And for some reason, even though it was the same company, I don't understand that. I will never understand that. But different supervisors, for some reason, had different protocols. So it's like, why don't you just let me send the tech guy? It's obvious that it's not working. The thing is not working. It's just, I'm not going to mention the internet company. But it's American. And when it went through, South America, Venezuela, no, not Venezuela, it was Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Chile. And so it was just awful. It was satellite, but it was awful. The service was terrible as when you're the agent
Right.
providing customer support, you can see in your screen how bad it is. Like I
Yeah.
kid you not, like I always complain about my internet connection where I live, but that was way worse. And these were people who lived in rural areas, the time during the pandemic when they were forced to, acquire this internet connection because it was the only one that they had access to. And because they needed to work from home, they needed their kids to be at school, on Zoom meetings or Google meetings. Uh, I just felt at some point that it was a big scam, this internet company. And I just felt bad about it. I hated my life because of that, because, you're part of it, right?
Right.
And, I don't know if I should say that I was starting to get depressed in a way, because I was like waking up literally to just plug myself to the computer and start taking the calls. And then at night, unplug and like an hour before falling asleep, thinking of everything that went wrong during the day and all those people who you couldn't help. So many of them. The good news is that the company got sued sometime around 2022, probably, or 2021, especially in Colombia. And apparently, the government took care of it, and the people now have better choices of internet connection. Also, they went back to their normal, activities, going to school and everything, so they don't have to depend on that
Right.
anymore. Thank God.
But you were
Yeah.
working for this company?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
providing tech support and customer service.
Okay.
Yeah. And but yeah, in a way, the safe space that I had during those long days, it was Pinterest. It was, it's a platform where everything is very positive, very inspiring. They're very careful with the content that is there. So it's a safe space for everybody. And that was my safe space. I was scrolling through Pinterest one day. I remember that everything happened in a synchronistic way, I will say, because I started seeing, all the repeated numbers, and like I will come across some quotes on Pinterest, but very specifically about change. Is like it was a channel where the universe was talking to me. That's the way I see it. I don't know any other way to describe it. And then I remember I found some girl who now I think she has changed her brand name now, but she used to be known as the freelance fairy. And I remember I saw her story when I heard her say that she was at my age, crying in front of a desk, being miserable. I
Right.
was like, oh my God, that's me. And she was teaching people how to, leave their day jobs in a way and then become a freelancer. And at the time, she was teaching people how to get on Fiverr. Fiverr is a platform for freelancers where people can pay for like small gigs and things like that. So that's where I started. Originally, I thought I was going to be a graphic designer because I had taught myself graphic design. And, I used to use Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. And I thought that was going to be like the services that I was going to offer. But then Pinterest, the universe, whatever you're going to call it, Pinterest was just a channel, reminded me that originally I wanted to be this blogger and this person who wanted to know how Pinterest worked. And of course, in the past, I had kind of expressed interest in that, or the algorithm remember that. And that's where I came across this pin specifically. Pins are like images or videos. And I clicked through it because it said the title was something like how to work from home as a Pinterest VA. And I was like, interesting. Like the original title was Pinterest VA. And I clicked through it, found this person talking about this Pinterest course that they took. It was a blogger. And how they were also, besides blogging, they were also doing Pinterest management for other people, other bloggers, or maybe other people in general, other businesses. And I was like, interesting. And that blog had a review of the course and the program and everything. And so that you click through it. If you buy it, they make a commission. That's how it works with blogging. And I saw the program. I was like, you know what? I can actually afford this. I could actually do it. I'm good at it. I'm good at marketing. I've always been into marketing, into design, and this kind of combines the two of them. I do want to work from home. And at the time, I like the straw that broke the camel's tail is that I found out that I was pregnant. So my kid, who is 3 years now, at the time I found out that I was pregnant. And I was already thinking like, okay, if I'm all day plugged into the computer and at some point my baby needs me, because my partner helps me with everything. He's very supportive. He always, always, always helps me with the baby. He's very responsible, but the babies also need their mommy. So it's kind of
Right.
an essential thing. So like I was starting to think like, what am I gonna do if my baby needs me and I'm here because I need to survive, right? I need to pay bills. So that program at the time, it was kind of like the divine timing, I will call it as well. And something that I also wanted. I had already kind of made the decision, even though I hadn't noticed. I wasn't conscious or aware that I had made the decision that I want to change, but everything was reinforcing it. So that's where I took the program. I first started on Fiverr, but then I met people. I started going on Facebook groups on the advice of my original mentor, who said, "Oh, the easiest way to get clients right now is if you don't have a website and you can do your Pinteresting because you don't have a website, is through Facebook groups." And I was like, "Well, I haven't used Facebook in a while, but I guess I can give it a try. Like I'm open to it." I started joining Facebook groups and I started meeting people, especially women in business. And yeah, that's kind of how I started getting my first clients. One of these people that I met, my one of my first friends that I made online, she happened to be a business strategist. So she kind of made a landing page for me, so I wouldn't have to be on Fiverr, and Fiverr taking like 20% of, my earnings, let's say, especially because she knew I had a baby. And yeah, I started networking, I started meeting more people, I started doing more business, getting more experience, and that's kind of how we ended up here.
Wow, amazing. There's so many things I'm getting out of what you're saying. Uh, you're you're always referring to the path that you chose. You are sort of
Yes,
contributing it to like synchronicity, uh,
yes,
things that happen just at the right time. You are always looking for your calling, I would say.
yes,
You were looking for something. You weren't sure. You wanted to do some blogging, uh, and yet you had an enormous interest for designing. You taught yourself design,
yeah. Well, that's the way to
graphic
say it.
design?
I took I took courses. It's
Okay,
like,
okay,
I mean, I didn't go to school. Originally, I had go to college, but I dropped out.
right.
So
Okay, okay.
that's I ended up learning graphic design through online courses, pushing buttons in the programs.
Yeah, so Pao is a successful dropout.
Thank you.
She's a success.
Thank you.
Everybody follow her advice. If you drop out, give her a call. And
Thank
then and
you.
then and then you say, and then I found a mentor. You're talking about a mentor,
Yes.
which is also really interesting. And then you're connecting with people in like Facebook groups, and there you find, the connection that you need, and everything seems to be propelling you forward to what you're actually doing now, which is
Yes.
interesting. Did you ever have a moment where you thought, "What am I doing, and where is this going?" Like,
Absolutely.
and you're talking about,
Yes.
yeah, I need to pay the bills. So what did you do
It
with
was
those?
risky. It
Yeah,
was it was very risky at the time. I felt very responsible, but I also felt very supportive, very supported. So the money that I used to pay for the program, it was all I had, literally all I had in my savings. With a baby coming, anytime soon, like in a few months, right? But I was talking to my partner and I was like, hey, I found this, that I'm not happy doing this, and I know that he was also trying to find another way for me. Like he was like, maybe we can, make a business, like a kind of a food delivery business, something like that, so that I wouldn't have to work. But it was in the planning stages as well. And I was like, hey, you know what? I've always been good with design. I have been paid in the past for small design gigs and marketing as well. So I was like, I found this. I want to give it a try. And I was actually kind of very confident at the time. Like I'm still, but at that moment I was already like building my confidence. Like, you know what? I feel very, in alignment, let's say, or I feel sure, I felt like everything was confirmed in a way. I don't know. Again, synchronicities and things like that. It made me feel sure of what I was going to do. So in a way, I knew I was gonna let that steady paycheck, let's say, and I didn't know if I was gonna get clients, like to match that income. But I felt confident that I could pull it off.
yeah,
Like for some reason, I just had the fire that I could pull it off,
it's
and
interesting. Yeah,
yeah, I did. By the way, it's a funny story, by the way, because I did attract clients the first month that I put myself on Fiverr. But guess what? I didn't know how to use Fiverr. So I didn't find the inbox at on the right time. And so I was looking at it a month or two later that I had messages of people
oh
reaching out
no,
to me. Yeah, and I was like, oh my God,
and you lost all those
I lost
clients?
this. Yes, I like two people, I think. Yeah. So
No,
there are dummies like me out there. But
wonderful.
anyways, I was like, okay, now I learned. And that when I saw that, that was in November. And then in January, I started receiving messages again. From December to January, I started receiving messages again in Fiverr, and that's where I got also a few of my clients. But I was also getting, requests from like friend and messages requests from people from the Facebook groups.
Right.
So
What's
yeah,
what are you saying? Fiber? Fiber?
Fiverr. Yes, Fiverr.
Fiverr.
So
What is it?
Fiverr, it's a freelance platform. So let's say you're searching for somebody who's gonna make a logo for you,
Oh, okay.
and there are people who have their gigs listed that they can
Right.
design your logo for you for, I don't know, $10. Some people less than that, some people more than that.
Right. So
Depends.
you started promoting yourself on that platform.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because that's what I learned from the original girl that I found,
Are you still on
along my
Fiverr?
journey.
Can people still find you
No, well, I
there?
mean, I guess they can still find me, but I disabled my gigs.
Okay,
So
okay. So
I no
now you're
longer.
basically where can people find you?
I usually have a website. I took it down now because WooCommerce was driving me insane, and I want to find another way to list my digital offers.
Okay,
But I do have a website.
okay. Yeah. So where are you from?
I'm from Mexico, born and raised.
Okay, born and raised.
Yes. So, well, I was born in the coast, and I've lived most of my life in the center area.
Hmm. And you are attracting international clients.
Yes.
Is that was also part of your goal? Is like I want to, reach out
Yeah.
worldwide and
Well, I thought that was going to happen because you see, here on Pinterest, here in here in Mexico, it's not as common for people to use Pinterest. Even though you might have not heard it before internationally, it's better known over there, in the United States or in Canada or the United Kingdom than
right.
it's in Mexico. I only had one client in Mexico, and I was a temporary replacement for another Pinterest manager.
Okay,
But their client base were in the U.S., California, and
right. But were you aware? Were you
yes,
aware that,
yes, I
well,
was aware that that
I'm
was going to
not going
happen.
to, yeah, I'm not going to have many clients coming from Mexico. I'm going to have to
Yeah,
go international.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
Well, that happens
interesting,
too with design. That actually
right?
happens a lot. Yeah.
But it's interesting because you're saying on the one hand, well, no, I didn't have uh, I didn't have any sense of security that I would get my
Oh, yeah.
clients. But on the other hand, you're saying, yet I felt really strong. I had this sense of trust. I knew I could pull it off. These kinds of essential qualities that you need, I think, to offset the risk,
Yeah.
because obviously there's a level of risk you're putting into it, your time, your effort, your investment, and the pressure, I need an income.
Yes.
So that's really interesting. And you went ahead and did that anyway, just going on this deeper sense of something guiding you. Could you say that?
Yes. Yes, I will say something guiding me, and that was the pretty much the only thing, that there was motivation and there was a desire of certain things or what I wanted my life to look like with my family. But there was definitely something like, go, it's got time.
Right, right. And how long have you been in business, running
A bit
your
over
business?
3 years and a half is gonna be 4 years this year.
Okay. Did you have ups and downs during the course
Of
of?
course. Of course, everybody has ups and downs. It's funny that people think that the journey is just way up, you're going up above, and that's not true. You go up and then you go down, and then you go down again, and then you find another obstacle and you climb it, and then maybe it's gonna go another down, and that's just how it is for everybody. Maybe people
Right.
don't talk about it that often, but it's true.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why I wanted to do this podcast. I wrote a book, Transcending the Ordinary,
Mhm.
and the subtitle is a roadmap or a guide. I don't know, roadmap or guide. Maybe you can tell me which one you prefer. A roadmap to ultimate freedom, happiness, and success.
I like roadmap.
So it's quite pretentious to say because I'm convinced that that's the way it is. If you read this book, then you will obtain ultimate freedom, happiness, and success. So when that happened, when I finished the book, my business in July
Mhm.
completely collapsed. I had no more business.
Oh my God.
I, I had no more business. And to me, it was interesting because it was sort of like, why? What's going on? You know? And I thought, well, if you're like telling the whole world, you read this book, and you follow the instructions given as a roadmap, well, go ahead and prove it to yourself now one more time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I've been landscaping a whole complete new business because I was forced to, and I've had clients call, many clients. It's like a lot of satellites all around me, and yet I'm not closing one sale. And you know why? I just
Well,
figured that out several days ago. It's because those are the clients I just have to learn to say no to
oh,
because they are just not my right audience. Isn't that interesting?
yeah, it's not in
And
alignment
so, and
anymore.
so if I exactly, and if I can't say no there, I won't take it to a high, to the next level.
Yes.
Not gonna happen. So it's just so interesting. And well, meanwhile, I've been creating a lot of wonderful connections. One of which is you, and
Thank you.
I definitely want to know so much more about Pinterest. And maybe find out in what way Pinterest could help me or you could help me.
Mhm.
But how do you keep it all together? You're running the family, you're taking care of your child, you got to do business, you're
Well,
doing you're
I have
co-hosting on
support.
all these events.
I have support. I have a strong support. That's why I will say, my partner, we are both stay-at-home parents. So when I'm, let's say, I'm having this podcast recording with you, he's upstairs with the child, taking care of
Hmm.
him. So I know my child is safe. And same with the event while I was doing my presentation. Whenever I'm doing a presentation or I have a meeting with people, I know that my partner is taking care of our kid. And and yeah, he helps me with everything. He's very supportive in everything.
Uh,
He supported me on this journey. He has supported me in everything. So
uh,
I think that's a very strong foundation for me to be able to do the things that I do. And there is also the other part that I guess I kind of learned to be a bit more organized over time, but that was over time. And the
mhm.
fact that really Pinterest doesn't take that much time for me. Like even though I'm the manager for like other Pinterest accounts, it doesn't take that much of my time. It wouldn't take that much out of their time if they were DIYing it, but even if I'm doing it, it doesn't take that much time. And that
Right.
was one of the main things that attracted me to the program because I knew I was going to be a mom. And I knew I didn't know, I hadn't seen my baby yet, but I knew he was going to be a boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Ezra.
Esra.
Ezra. Yes.
Esra.
Ezra.
Beautiful.
Thank
Is that
you.
biblical? Is that a biblical name?
Yes.
Esra?
Yes.
Are you religious?
Not quite, but I do believe in God. And I do believe in God. In like not exactly the religious God that the Bible. I don't mean any
Well,
disrespect.
let's say spiritual,
Exactly. Thank you.
spiritually fluent.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I will tell you that I strongly believe in God, and there is nothing that can convince me that there is no God. So the same with and many. I don't want to be like you said pretentious and say that I have proof, but I've experienced my things.
Right,
Yeah.
right. What out of the ordinary experiences?
Yes, and yeah, lots of those. And the reason why Ezra, why he has that name is because when we were deciding on which names we were gonna put it, we never thought of Ezra. It's just a name that he kind of picked. So like himself, the baby. So we were just having like a list of names, And we're like, ah, this sounds good, this sounds good. This, this name means this thing, or this name means another thing, and see what will fit for him, right? And then I don't remember how we did it. We did it 3 times. That if we will kind of roll the names or just pick them out, several trials, how to pick a name, and Ezra came 3 times.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we knew it was meant to have that name.
Yeah. Yeah. I was reading somewhere, and I don't know where and who wrote that, but that it is more important to find an appropriate name for your child than it
Yes,
is to be chasing after money.
yes,
It is so important. I mean, many children are named after a passed over,
yes,
aunt or uncle, which I don't really advise anybody to do because
neither
it
do I.
carries such a negative charge.
Yes,
And even if that aunt or brother was a positive influence in the family dynamic, well, then that again is the weight that you have to carry, the
exactly.
responsibility, of living up to the standard of
Yes.
that family member. So yeah, I think finding an appropriate name is important. Yeah. So about spirituality, yeah, I have no problem at all. I always say God, God, God. But
Yeah, me too.
In Holland, a lot of people are really allergic to the word God.
Yeah, so I
You
guess that's
know,
why I say I mean no disrespect, but that's just the way, we see that.
but what is the most written down word ever in the world?
Yes,
In every single hotel worldwide, there's a Bible. And in the
yes,
Bible, how many times is God mentioned? That's a powerful word,
yes,
you know? That's a powerful word. So, but because of religious conditioning, people have a negative connotation to God. But I'm like, call it what you will, call it spirit, call it, your
higher self
higher
or the
self.
universe
Exactly.
or the source.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Source. And of course, from my shamanic practice, you say great spirit.
Mm-hmm.
We attribute everything to great spirit, Father, Mother, God, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's understanding, that we are so much more than just these walking biological beings,
Exactly.
eating and
More than meat.
expressing our creativity. But what are your dreams? What do you want to achieve? Do you have any big dreams?
Yes, I want to go live off the grid
You want to
with my
what?
family. Live off the grid with my family. So that's the plan that we have. Me and my partner, long before we had a baby. Well, we already were talking about having babies, of course. But the main thing is that we want to go live off the grid, just go rural, and
Okay, because you're living in the big city right now?
it's well, I always try to live in the suburbs, but yes, it is a big city. Like Querétaro is a big city. It's very industrial, like right here, right now I'm in my dad's place because it's more quiet. But it's
Okay.
if I go outside, I'm gonna start hearing the noises of the city, or all that comes with it. And
Yeah,
where I
so,
live is the suburbs, but for example, I have like there's like a bunch of buildings, and it's crowded in a way. It's quiet, but it's crowded. And also, I think that's the problem with that building and the internet connection as well.
okay. So you want to get out. Uh,
The city is just
would that
off grid, self sufficient.
would that also entail uh, moving to another country?
No, no, I'm fine in my country. Well, he wanted to move to another country, but I was like, "Dude, we can just reach for a fruit and it's fresh." Like that's what we have that I want to leave behind, especially because I want to be self-sufficient, and there are certain varieties of
Right.
fruits that I want to grow in here. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. So we're gonna get a piece of land, like
Oh,
enough piece of
wonderful.
land, so be self-sufficient. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a goal.
How's crime in Mexico? I mean, I've never been there, but
Ah, man, it depends. It depends on where
depends
you
where
are.
you are. Okay.
Yeah, so I will
It,
not step a foot in the north of the country. I will not step a foot in my hometown. I was born in the coast in Veracruz. I will not go there. There is still crime in the center areas. I think it's a lot less than the other places that I mentioned. And of course, I mean, if you're vibrating, a little bit higher than that, if you want to track that, but you can hear that it still happens somewhere.
right, right.
So yeah, I was kidnapped almost 3 times. So if that answers
Oh,
your
are you
question,
kidding? Are you
yeah, yeah. No,
serious?
I mean, like how
Oh,
people take girls for what, and well,
yeah.
that could have been me 3 times
Oh my
when I was
God.
growing up. Yeah, because I lived in this area that it wasn't an ideal neighborhood, you will say. That's
Hmm.
something that we also search all the time whenever we move. That is, a quiet, calm, ideal area where there is no crime, precisely, and precisely not because we have a child.
I saw videos on YouTube where, they just come driving by on a scooter and just grab a child, you know?
They can do that. I've never seen that here specifically, but I don't doubt that it's happening. So yeah, I'm always with my partner all the time. Like I don't go outside alone, you know.
Mhm.
We're both together all the time, 24/7. So if I go to to get some groceries, he comes with me and the baby, and we're always, alert.
So you do have to be alert. But how is it in
Yeah.
the rural areas?
In the rural areas, I don't know exactly how it is. I just think that if you don't, something that is said about crime in Mexico, I don't fully believe that, but it's said that if you don't mess with them, they don't mess with you. At some extent, that is true. But there are some other groups that are different than that. So you really never know. So the rural area specifically that we picked, it seems like it's quiet. I never see any news that something bad is going on there as in
Right.
other places, right? So like
Well, usually
that's
the
kind of
people in the rural areas are more grounded or
exactly
more
more family
open,
oriented.
family oriented, exactly.
The values
But
are still there.
mm, are there a lot of foreigners? You see a lot of foreigners
Where I
walking
live,
around?
yes. Where I live, yes. In the suburbs where me and my partner live currently, we see people from France, from Canada, Americans, Venezuela, Colombia.
Okay, so it is
There,
very
there's a lot.
international.
Yes, where we live. The rural areas, maybe not much.
Hmm. Listen, just out of curiosity, because I mean, it's quite shocking. How did you get away from being kidnapped?
Oh, God. I will just say like that, God. But if you want to know like the detail of how it happened, there was I had to take the bus from school, going out. I was 13 or so. And I remember the bus, instead of going down the hill like it was supposed to do because he was running out of time, he didn't even ask if anybody was going down. He just dodged that, right? And I was like, oh my God, that was my stop, right? And I had to get down. And at the time that I got there, the hill that I had to go down to get to my
Right.
house, it was empty. And that happened a lot of times, that's why. So I remember that I was walking, and then you feel something strange in your body. The intuition is like, something's going on here. I don't like this. And there was a woman in an SUV, kind of in front of me,
Oh,
and I felt something strange, even though she was a woman. And I'm usually thinking like women are scary. You bet they are. So I crossed the street, and I saw the woman move. I crossed the street again, and she moved again.
oh,
So she was out to get me. That was my confirmation that she was out to get me.
right.
And I was kind of about to freeze for a moment, but then there was a family, a woman with their children coming out of one of the complex. They were like complex with house and everything, so she was coming out there. I didn't even say anything to her. I just kind of started walking like a creep behind her, and
Yeah,
that's how I got to my house safe the first
right.
time. The
Great.
second time, yeah, the second time happened when I was I think I was already 16 or 17. I've had this same computer that I'm talking to you right now. I had it since I was 13, but I didn't have a printer. And when I got to high school, there were, especially the first weeks, there was a lot of stuff to print. So I had to go up the hill, and there was this cyber cafe where I will go print my stuff. And when I was going, I was heading towards that, I was, walking, and then I saw these two dudes in like I don't know how to describe the vehicle. It was not an SUV, but it was still kind of like between the car and the SUV. They saw me, they pulled like right in front of me. They looked at each other in such a creepy way, that I knew they were up to no good. And I kind of froze for a moment. Then again, there's God. And God sent, I believe in my heart that God sent a woman who randomly walked outside in the middle of the afternoon with the sun. There was no way that somebody was gonna walk out. And I saw her and I ran to her and I was like, "Hey, can I please walk with you or stay with you for a second? Because look at
Yeah.
those dudes over there, right?" I'm starting just remembering. They were looking at me this way. They pulled in front of me. I don't know, they're after me, right? And she was like, "Calm down, calm down." Like she was so calm. I don't think she was human. I'm just gonna say that. She was so calm and so like just chill. And they went away right immediately after I started talking to her. And she was like, "Walk to your house, and I will watch you from here." Like she didn't even offer to walk me there. But I think she was so sure that nothing was gonna happen to me. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Yeah.
I was not a human. And I was
Wow.
like, yeah, I was like, I went back to my house, right? And I was asking, I actually at the time, I think I asked my partner he wasn't my partner at the time. We were just friends. We will see each other every now and then. But at the time we were hanging out, very frequently. And I asked him to go with me because I didn't want to go alone. And yeah, he started walking me. And then the next day, I think it was the next day or the next few days, I adventured myself to go alone. Like I went up the hill, nothing happened. And when I was down the hill with my printed stuff in my hands, I felt something strange, some random voice in my head, not random, my intuition. The voice of my intuition said, look behind you. And there was a dude in a car, like pulling right next to me. He was opening the door, like he was just gonna grab me if I didn't look at the right
Right.
time. And I ran, I ran off so fast, like I was kind of close to the complex where I live, so I ran off. Didn't catch me, and I went to my partner's house at the time, and I was like, "Open the door, open the door!" To I think I got him out of the bathroom. So
Wow.
he was like, "Open the door, please." He like, was like, "This person over there. He tried to grab me. He was gonna grab me. I know. He was pulling next to me, and he was gonna grab me." And then he looked at him. He just left. Never saw those people again. None of those. So yeah, that's kind of how I was safe from that. And after that, he never let me go alone anywhere
Yeah.
else.
Well,
So
thank God, because
yes,
my God, everything that's been coming to light in the last decade, and specifically the last 5 years,
yes,
with all the child abductions,
the
the
horrors of the world.
kidnapping, the horrors of the world, yeah, it's just tremendous. I just can't imagine how I would feel if somebody would even touch one of my children,
Yeah.
you know?
And we had an awful experience, even though where we live is kind of quiet. Never saw them again because we caught them. And when you
Mhm.
caught them, usually you never see them because they got me. I can come back to this area, right? But there was this time when we were going out for groceries like we normally do, and then I'm gonna say something weird. I know this is gonna sound weird, but I know I'm in the right place. I'm just gonna say those people were not human. I don't believe uh, the people who are capable of doing that are human. Either there is something taking a human form or something possessing the human. I don't believe that a human inherently would do such a thing. And it's something in the eyes that when I saw these people, like they were kind of, I don't know if they were, my parents said that they were looking at me, but maybe they were also looking at my baby because I was holding my baby. My baby is freaking gorgeous. I'm telling you, it's not because it's my baby. It's freaking gorgeous. Okay, And there's a lot of kidnapping children and everything. And I saw these people. There were two of them, and I swear, I don't know if it's the Matrix. I don't know if it's just the entities didn't even trying to blend in, but it's like they just. I know it sounds weird. I know it sounds weird, but it's like if you have one and you split into two, just the exact same thing, and doesn't even it's not like you see one person who looks in a certain way even though it's maybe their brother, but they look slightly different. It looked exactly the same. They even were kind of wearing the same thing, just a different color of the t-shirt. That I There was something that I saw in their eyes that I was like, that's not a human.
Right.
There is no way that's a human being.
Yeah.
And they were like in haunting mode, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you can just call it by its name. It's like demonic,
Exactly.
you
And there's
know?
nothing that will convince me
Yeah,
otherwise. I
and
I know.
believe me, you're in the right place to be able to say
Thank
these
you.
kinds of things because I've had quite some experiences myself, even clients that were possessed, and it's something that I don't like doing. You know, I'm working with people that have entities
Mm-hmm.
or, foreign energies
Things.
attached to them.
Yeah,
Yeah, very unpleasant, very unpleasant. And at some point, I had such a bad experience that I said, I just want to
I
stay
can't
away
do
from
this
it
anymore.
completely,
Yeah,
you know. But then again, sometimes when it happens and somebody's in front of me and I know I can do something about it, to what
you
degree
will. Huh?
do is it almost like something you have to be doing,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. Well, amazing. I'm so glad that you are protected and that you were
Thank you.
connected, connected
Yeah.
enough to feel intuitively that something wasn't right, because that
Mm-hmm.
is what really saved you.
Yeah. Is the
Mhm.
window keep doing that?
Yeah,
Should we
it's
close
it's
it?
it's fun because I keep seeing this beautiful light flashing behind you.
Yeah. So whoever is listening, I forgot to close the window, and there is the shutters, and the shutters are moving. The light comes through it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
uh it's the positive energy that's beaming in.
Yeah, it's a very sunny day, nice sunny day, no clouds actually. Yep, not a single cloud.
Yeah. What's the time difference there? You're ahead of us or in front of us?
It's 11 a.m. over here.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Well,
it's
almost 3 minutes before 11 a.m.
right. It's almost 7 o'clock in the evening here. But I mean, now with daylight saving, we have light here till like 10:30 in the evening. It gets dark really, really
Oh,
late.
wow.
Yeah, which which really throws you off the biological clock. It's
Mm.
I don't know. I really believe that it is with intent that they do everything
Yeah, of
possible
course.
to keep people, away from their natural,
Even the
natural
time switches,
being.
the daylight savings, that's
Yeah,
also with the full intent. It messes people up, and I'm not making this up. You can fact check me on this. It messes with your kind of like your heart and your rhythm, your overall energy. It stresses people out. It gives people anxiety, and some people even get sick from it, because they get
yeah,
so stressed out that biologically they get so stressed out. Yeah, it's
yeah,
absolutely with
yeah,
intent.
yeah. No, correct. Correct. I never have to fact check these kinds of things.
You just know. Yes, you just know.
Yeah, those are just things you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know it or you don't. And if you're a little bit awake, then you know. And once you're
Yes.
awake, you can't deny it anymore.
Exactly. You cannot know.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
interesting.
Things that you can just unsee.
Mm. So before we close off, I could have a much deeper discussion when it comes to spirituality, and maybe we'll
Oh, me
sit
too.
down again. Yeah,
Yes.
we'll sit down another time and
Absolutely.
talk about some other things. But just maybe something that you want to give the audience. Is there anything, be it life advice. I don't like the word advice, but something you can give people as a point of reference or as an inspiration in their life, be it personally, things going on for them on a personal level or business wise. Are
Yeah,
there,
same.
is there
There's so much
anything?
there's so much that I would like to say, but I guess I want to stick real quick, kind of taking back to the beginning of the conversation is that no, just know that whenever you make a choice, whether you're conscious or unconscious about it, everything is gonna reflect that for you. So just follow the signs, your intuition, and you're gonna get there. So that will be
You're,
it, I guess.
you're saying make a conscious choice. Is that correct?
Yeah, ideally make a conscious choice.
Mhm.
And then once you make that conscious choice, everything is going to be reinforcing that. And if there is something, if that conscious choice is leading you somewhere, is wanting you to get somewhere, then a path is going to be opened. Like
Okay.
whether you believe it or not, it's going to
Can
happen.
you, right, but can you make a conscious wrong choice?
Could be. You can make a conscious wrong choice because maybe you don't know that that's like the wrong choice. Like it's relative to what you know. Like for your mind, it's gonna be relative if something is right or wrong. Obviously, we have the awareness or the consciousness to know that I don't know, you're not supposed to hurt yourself or hurt other people, right? That's wrong. That's something we know established. But maybe there are things that you thought were for you or you thought you were supposed to do, and it's gonna be the wrong choice because it's not what you really, from alignment and from your soul you really want.
Right,
You know
okay,
what I mean?
right.
Mhm.
You make a choice in alignment with your higher
Yes.
purpose.
And then boom, everything just falls.
Right, right. So we got to get more people in alignment,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Pao, what does Pao mean?
Pao is short for Paola. It means little.
Okay,
It means little.
okay,
My parents wanted to name me just, my mother wanted a name with a K, which is Karen, most freaking common name you've ever heard. Karen is everywhere. And my dad wanted to a name with a P. Originally, I think he wanted to name me Patricia,
okay.
but he ended up with Paola, and Paola is means little.
Ah, Paola means little?
Uh-huh.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
And you know what?
In
I'm
Mexican.
freaking short. I'm a short person. I'm little.
Okay,
Because
okay.
they cursed me with a name. Just kidding. But yeah, in not in Mexican is so the origin of the name I think is Latin or something. It's like the equivalent to Pavel or something like that or Paul I think as well.
Okay, okay.
There are some different if you look on the internet there are some differences in what the page is going to say you, but overall it says that Paola means little, and
Okay.
I'm a little person,
Right, okay.
like physically I'm
So,
very little.
so your shaman name would be Little Fox.
I guess. I guess.
Pao Palafox.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a name from it comes from my grandfather from the side of my mom. That's the Palafox last name. And I understand that it comes from somewhere in Spain, Catalonia or so. In Catalonia, it's a very common last name, I think.
Right, right. Because your heritage is Spanish.
Yes, yes, because that Mexico was conquered by Spain, and
Right.
they were brought a lot of people from different countries, and we all got mixed together.
Yeah, yeah.
We got busy.
It's an interesting, we got this. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing culture. Amazing culture. Yeah. Well, wonderful, Pao. It was really
Thank you.
great speaking with you.
Same,
And
same.
we're definitely going to do this again. Sit down and
Absolutely.
talk a little further.